What if humans had chameleon-like color-changing abilities? Imagine for a second, your skin was a living mirror. Not a mirror that reflects the world around you, but one that reveals the world inside. Think about it. Your emotions, thoughts, even the desires you wouldn't dare speak aloud, all translated into color. Joy? A radiant gold, like the sun's first light. Sadness? A deep blue as vast and silent as the night ocean. Anger? A pulsing, fiery red like lava flowing from a volcano. And love? Maybe a blend of warm, soft hues, a dreamy violet touched with vibrant pink. Now stop and think with me. If this were possible, if your skin could change color like a chameleon, reflecting every emotion in real time, how would it change the way we live, how we interact, how we see ourselves in the mirror? And, maybe most importantly, what would it reveal about who we truly are? Take a deep breath and imagine. You're sitting in a busy coffee shop. You look around and instead of people in various outfits, you see a sea of shifting colors. A woman at the counter is bathed in warm oranges, showing her excitement as she chats on the phone. A man in the corner, though, is shrouded in a grayish green, maybe insecure or hesitant. A couple laughs at a nearby table, their skins flashing yellows and pinks, their colors dancing like sparks from a flame that brightens with each giggle. And there, at a far table, someone glows in cool blues. You sense their loneliness without them saying a word. It's a picture of what could be. And it's both fascinating and terrifying, isn't it? Because think about it, in such a world, you couldn't hide how you feel. There would be no disguises, masks, or pretenses. All those emotions you try to suppress, the ones you bury deep inside, would surface as an unavoidable reflection. A forced, "I'm fine" with a strained smile wouldn't fool anyone if your skin was painted a melancholy blue. Could you live with that? With the truth visible to everyone around you, but here's the secret. We're not as far from this as you might think. In fact, we're already, in a way, chameleon-like beings. Our bodies, even today, are like living canvases, full of subtleties. Think about the last time you felt embarrassed. Remember your cheeks burning, red as a hot coal? And when something unexpected scared you, how your face went pale, almost like a blank canvas. Or when you were in love and felt that warmth rise to your face, that sparkle in your eyes that seemed impossible to hide? These changes are nothing but vestiges of what could be. Our skin, our eyes, even our posture, it all already communicates more than we realize. But what if these subtle physical changes were amplified? What if, instead of a slight blush, you literally radiated an intense color that told the world exactly how you feel? Not with words, not with expressions, but with light and color. A chromatic spectacle visible to all. Now think about the impact this would have on our society. Lying? That would become practically impossible. You could say whatever you wanted, but your skin would give you away. A fake smile with a "I forgive you," while your skin pulses in magenta red, betraying your repressed anger. Or imagine saying, "I'm happy for you," when, in reality, your skin glows in shades of green, revealing envy. And communication itself? Maybe we wouldn't even need words to express ourselves anymore. Instead of sentences, our emotions would become universal languages. Imagine meeting someone and before exchanging a single word, you already know exactly how they feel. You see it on their skin. One look and you understand. But here's the question. Would this be liberating or suffocating? On one hand, we could connect with each other in ways never before possible. Instead of guessing or interpreting others' feelings, we'd know with absolute certainty what's going on in their minds and hearts. Would we be more empathetic, more compassionate, or would this be an unbearable weight? Because let's face it, there's a reason we're so good at hiding our emotions. There are moments when privacy is all we have left, when we're in public but fighting a silent battle inside, when we smile to cover up the pain, when we'd rather no one knows how vulnerable we are. What would it be like to live in a world where that protection no longer exists, where your colors speak before you even open your mouth? And it's not just about emotions. Think about the deeper implications. What would your base colors say about you? After all, we'd all have some kind of default setting, right? Maybe, like a chameleon that starts with a base color before adapting to its surroundings, we'd also have our own unique palettes. Would you be someone with warm, vibrant tones like orange or yellow? Or someone with calmer shades like green or blue? But what if this base were influenced not just by genetics, but by life experiences? Could a person's color reflect the scars they carry, the moments of joy that shaped their story, the losses they've left behind? Could our colors be not just expressions of the present, but also maps of the past? And if so, would we learn to judge each other in completely new ways? And yet, the idea intrigues us, doesn't it? Maybe because deep down we already long for more transparency in a world so full of masks. Maybe because, even if it's scary at times, the idea of being seen for who we truly are is also liberating. But for now, we are just an unfulfilled promise. A species dreaming of what could be. If we could change like a chameleon, would we become more authentic? More connected? Or would we discover that transparency comes with a price we might not be ready to pay? Yet, this is just the beginning. Let's dive even deeper into this idea, exploring what science tells us and imagining how our lives could be transformed. Because the real question isn't just what if, it's what would we do with that power? But how could it actually be possible for our skin to become this vibrant, changeable canvas? To answer that, we need to look to nature. Because, as often happens, science is the best storyteller, and the most fascinating chapters are written in the biology around us. Think about chameleons, true masters of adaptation. For a long time, we believed they changed color just to camouflage themselves, to blend into their surroundings and avoid predators, but that's only half the truth. For chameleons, color change is also a language, a visual code that conveys intentions, emotions, and even social status. A male trying to impress a female might display vibrant shades of yellow and red, almost shouting, "Look at me, I'm strong, healthy, I'm the best." Meanwhile, in a moment of calm, it might adopt soft, neutral colors, signaling peace or neutrality. So, how do they do this? The secret lies in their special cells called chromatophores and iridophores, which act like microscopic artists. Imagine each chromatophore as a tiny pouch filled with pigment, red, yellow, or brown. These pouches can expand or contract, spreading or hiding the pigments. Iridophores, on the other hand, are a bit different. They're like tiny mirrors made of nanocrystals capable of reflecting light in specific ways, creating metallic or iridescent tones. When these two structures work together, the result is a stunning display of colors that feels almost magical. But it's science. Now imagine if we humans had something similar. Picture a layer of chromatophores beneath our skin, controlled by a nervous system as sensitive as that of chameleons. A small stimulus, perhaps a wave of emotion, a memory, or even a reaction to the environment, would be enough to trigger a color change. A flash of fear could activate your black chromatophores, cloaking your skin in an opaque shadow, while happiness would make your golden pigments shine like sunlight. But it doesn't stop there. There's another fascinating example in nature. Octopuses and squids, even more impressive masters of color change. Unlike chameleons, they can not only change color but also texture, making their skin smooth or rough depending on the context. Even more astonishing, their changes are incredibly quick. An octopus can shift between complex patterns of color in less than a second, transforming almost instantaneously. And why? Camouflage, yes, but also communication. Studies show that octopuses use specific patterns and tones to convey messages, such as warnings to predators or mating signals. And here's an interesting part. The octopus's brain is closely connected to its skin. It's almost as if they think, and their skin responds immediately. Now ask yourself, what if our skin could do the same? What if our emotions and thoughts were instantly projected on the surface of our bodies without filters or delays? What would it be like to live that way? But let's go further. Science is starting to play with these ideas. Researchers have been studying how to replicate chromatophores in human technologies, creating materials that change color in response to electrical or light stimuli. Imagine clothing that changes color to adapt to its surroundings. something that once seemed like science fiction, but is now being explored in labs. What if this technology could be integrated into our own biology? It doesn't sound as far-fetched as it may seem. After all, we're already on the path to editing genes, 3D printing human tissues, and integrating electronic chips into our bodies. What if in the future we could implant synthetic chromatophores in our skin, giving each of us the power to control our own color palette? This brings us to another fascinating question. How would we control it? Chameleons and octopuses do this involuntarily, but what about us humans, with our highly developed brains? Would we learn to manipulate our colors with intention, like learning to play an instrument? Imagine the training required to achieve that control. Perhaps it would be something like meditation, learning to regulate your breathing and heart rate until you could project a specific hue. A musician practices scales, while a chameleon-like human could practice color transitions, maybe starting with something simple, like switching between red and blue, and then moving on to more complex compositions like gradients and patterns. We might even create true works of art on our skin, like living tattoos that transform in real time. Now think about how this would transform our world. Fashion would be the first major revolution. Today, we choose our clothing to express who we are, but in a world with chameleon skin, we might not need that anymore. You could literally wear your emotions. Feeling confident? Your body could glow in gold, as if you were dressed in a suit of light. Want to convey calm? Soft shades of blue could cover your skin, creating an aura of serenity around you. Festivals and events would be visual spectacles with entire crowds transforming into a sea of pulsating colors like a living light show. And it wouldn't stop with fashion. Think about communication. Today, we need words to express how we feel, but words are limited, aren't they? They can be misinterpreted. They may fail to capture the depth of what truly lies within us. But what if our colors could speak for us? What if, instead of trying to explain how we feel, we could simply show it? Maybe that would make communication more honest, more authentic, or perhaps more dangerous. Because, as we mentioned before, there are things we prefer to keep hidden. And here we return to the real dilemma. A world where everyone knows how you feel, where there's no hiding, lying, or disguising. Would it be a more connected or more chaotic world? Would you trust people if their colors revealed secret intentions? Or would this create new forms of manipulation, new ways to deceive? Perhaps instead of liberation, it would lead us to a new kind of vulnerability. And yet, we can't help but dream. Because the possibility of carrying the colors of the universe on our skin, of being both human and a living work of art, is an idea that fascinates and captivates us. Perhaps at the core, it's because we want to be seen. Not for what we appear to be, but for who we truly are. And if one day this becomes a reality, will we be ready? Or will we be just chameleons trying to navigate a world of lights and shadows that we ourselves have created? If humans had this ability, the impact wouldn't just be individual. It wouldn't only be about how you felt seeing your anger explode in red, or your happiness radiating in gold. The real impact would be on society as a whole, on how our relationships, our social structures, and even our values would be challenged by this new transparency. Think, for example, about human relationships. Since ancient times, people have developed skills to hide what they feel. Sometimes it's a matter of survival. You don't want your boss to notice your boredom during that endless meeting. Or maybe you suppress your nervousness on a first date, trying to appear confident. We do this every day, shaping our expressions, adjusting our tone of voice, carefully choosing our words. In a way, we are actors on our own stages. Now imagine again a world where that would no longer be possible, where your skin, like an open window, revealed everything. What would that do to our interactions? At first glance, it might seem liberating. You would never have to guess if someone is being sincere. An "I love you" accompanied by a soft, authentic glow of pink would be unmistakable. You'd know that person truly feels what they're saying. On the other hand, an "I'm happy for you" from a friend, tinged with the bitter green of envy, could destroy friendships. Could we trust each other, knowing that no emotion can be hidden? Or would that precisely make us more suspicious, more cautious, always on the lookout for colors that contradict words? Now expand that to a larger scale, the impact on work, business, and politics. Imagine a negotiation room where everyone sitting at the table shines with hues that reveal exactly what they're thinking. A business person trying to close a deal might show confidence in vibrant orange tones, but if a flash of hesitant blue appears, would they lose their edge? Or a politician promising change in a fiery speech, being betrayed by their own skin, pulsing with the dark red of repressed anger or the pale gray of disinterest. In that world, would leaders be chosen not by what they say, but by the colors they can't control? The truth, raw and unfiltered, would become inevitable. On the other hand, would it be possible to manipulate this truth? Because let's face it, we humans are masters of adaptation. If we've learned to disguise our emotions with words and expressions, what would stop us from trying to manipulate our own colors? Perhaps there would be schools or training for this, courses in chromatic emotional control, where you'd learn to suppress unwanted hues and project the colors you wish to display. Lying in this world wouldn't be impossible. It would just require a new kind of skill, the ability to deceive yourself, to control your thoughts and emotions, to the point of reprogramming the color palette of your skin. Then there's the cultural impact. Art, for instance, would be transformed in unimaginable ways. Today, we create art on canvases, papers, and walls. But with chameleon-like abilities, the human body itself would become the greatest artistic expression. Festivals could turn into kaleidoscopic spectacles, with entire crowds synchronizing their colors into vibrant waves of light and emotion. A theatrical performance, for example, could forego sets or lighting. Actors would use their own colors to convey the intensity of scenes, shifting from dark, muted tones for tragedies to bursts of red and gold for moments of passion. And fashion? It might become almost irrelevant. Why spend hours picking the perfect outfit when your skin can change color and pattern every second? Perhaps fashion would evolve into something more abstract, accessories or garments designed to interact with your colors, amplifying or contrasting them. Or maybe the act of getting dressed would become a meditative moment, where you literally program the colors of your day, much like choosing a playlist to set your mood. And of course, music wouldn't be the same either. Today, we have concerts filled with visual effects, lights, and projections. But in this future, the audience would be part of the spectacle. Imagine a show where the music dictates the colors of the crowd, transforming the audience into a living wave of light, each person glowing in sync with the rhythm and melody. We would all be part of the art. But not everything would be beautiful. What about discrimination? Today, unfortunately, physical differences are still used as excuses for prejudice. In a world where our colors are constantly changing, would we find new ways to judge each other? Perhaps certain hues would become associated with weakness or inferiority. A grayish-green signaling doubt or hesitation might be viewed negatively, while vibrant colors would be idealized as symbols of strength. This could create a new social hierarchy based not on wealth, class, or race, but on how well you can control your colors. And those who can't hide their feelings, the transparent, so to speak, would they be marginalized? And what about introverts, those who prefer to keep their emotions to themselves? For them, this ability would be a burden. What was once a choice, keeping feelings private, would become impossible. Would there be technology to help them, perhaps? Devices or special clothing that blocked color changes, allowing them to regain some privacy? Or would that be seen as a form of isolation, as if they were hiding something from the world? Now think about something even deeper: human identity. Today, our identities are shaped by a combination of factors: our experiences, our beliefs, our appearances. But if our emotions were always visible, would that change how we define ourselves? Would we become more honest with ourselves, unable to lie even to our own reflection? Or would we feel trapped by our colors, defined by something we can't always control? On the flip side, maybe this would teach us something important, because deep down, we all carry the same colors, even if we can't see them. We all feel anger, fear, sadness, love. We're all a blend of light and dark shades, lights and shadows. Maybe by seeing this reflected in each other, we'd learn to be more compassionate, more empathetic. In the end, perhaps that's what colors really teach us, that we are more alike than we think. that beneath all the layers of difference, we carry the same spectrum of emotions. And who knows, by becoming human chameleons, we might finally realize that true beauty lies in the infinite diversity of shades within us. But what about you? Can you imagine what it would be like to live in such a world? Would you feel comfortable displaying your colors to the world? Or would you prefer to keep your hues hidden, as we do today? These are questions we'll explore further, because believe me, this is just scratching the surface of this universe. What comes next? The deeper consequences and perhaps the most frightening ones. But this ability wouldn't just affect our relationships with others, with society, or with culture. It would change how we relate to ourselves. Because if our emotions were always on display, how would that impact our ability to cope with our own feelings? Today, when something hurts or makes us uneasy, we can hide it. We lock ourselves in our rooms, cry in silence, or simply put on a brave face and move on. But in a world where sadness transforms into deep blues radiating from our skin, where fear darkens our bodies in nearly black tones, there would be no avoiding the confrontation with what we feel. Would you be willing to face your own vulnerability? Would we be ready for that? Perhaps seeing ourselves so exposed, we would be forced to embrace what we often deny, our humanity, our imperfection. Because that's what we are, right? Beings made of light and shadow, of joys and fears. Maybe learning to coexist with our colors, those we didn't choose, those that simply appear, would ultimately be a healing process. And here's an intriguing question. What about children? What would it be like to grow up in a world where their emotions are visible from birth? Children, after all, are already a mix of unrestrained feelings and insatiable curiosity. Imagine a baby glowing in soft pinks when feeling love or in deep reds when frustrated. How would parents react to seeing their children's anger or sadness so clearly reflected? Would this create a more nurturing environment where emotions are understood and accepted rather than suppressed? As they grow, these children might become adults more comfortable with who they truly are. Because in this hypothetical world, there would be no room to hide feelings or ignore them. We would be a generation raised in a sea of colors, learning from an early age that each shade, whether light or dark, vibrant or muted, has its place. That everything is part of the human spectrum. But, as with any change, there would be challenges. Imagine, for example, what it would be like to experience love in a world where your emotions can't be hidden. Today, confessing love is an act of courage because no one can see what's inside you. You choose the moment, the words, and decide whether or not to open up. But what if before you even said, "I love you," your skin was already glowing in shades of pink from affection or passion? Would that make love more genuine, easier, or simply more vulnerable? And what about the end of a relationship? You could say you're fine, that you've moved on. But your skin, tinged with a melancholic gray, would reveal the truth. There would be no escaping emotions, no hiding behind carefully chosen words. In this world, we might be forced to be more honest, to confront not just others but ourselves. And so we arrive at the final question. Who would we truly be if we could no longer hide anything? In a world where our colors expose us, would we become more authentic? Or would we feel imprisoned by our own transparency? Maybe the answer lies not in trying to imagine how to control our colors, but in reflecting on what this teaches us about who we already are. Because in a way, we already carry these colors within us. They're not visible, but they're there, in our words, in our glances, in our gestures. The challenge isn't to be transparent to the world. The real challenge is to be transparent with ourselves. And now, let me ask you, if you had the power to change color like a human chameleon, would you use it? Would you accept carrying on your skin the visible marks of everything you feel? Or would you prefer to keep your emotions hidden, as we do today? Think about it. And while you reflect, I want to invite you to join this conversation. If you could choose a color to reflect who you are at this very moment, what would it be? Leave your answer in the comments. I want to know what you think, what you feel. After all, this reflection isn't just about a hypothetical future. It's about who we are now, in this moment. And who knows, by reading everyone's colors in the comments, we might understand something deeper about humanity. Because in the end, maybe we aren't so different. We're all chameleons trying to find the right shade to exist. So tell me, what's your color today?